Welcome to the Female Bodybuilding Channel. And today, do we have something special for you guys. Today, we have the 2020 Rising Phoenix winner, Andrea Shaw.
Hello.
We're going to go straight into it, Andrea.
Let's do it.
When they called Hella Trevino in second, what was going through your mind?
Finally. Because I needed to prove to myself that last year, it was still so new last year. Coming into the Chicago Pro 30 days, not even after the Toronto, switching divisions, learning, female bodybuilding posing. And then, I did the Rising Phoenix last year, but 7th place was just, I wrestled with whether or not I should have done it. Maybe I should have just taken that time away. But then it was like, it was our Olympia, so to speak, last year. But I'm glad I did it because it stuck with me. And I knew that I said, okay, this year is the year I get to redeem myself. I get to redeem myself and be the one that a lot of people didn't probably anticipate coming from the back to really, really make some significant improvements, not only with, posing, but conditioning, size. And it worked. And I was just feeling very validated, like, okay, good. The work that I put in, that diligence, especially during this pandemic, oh my gosh. Yeah, it paid off big time.
Because you were, most people had Helle leading up winning because of her track record, But you and Monique Jones, everyone had both of you girls going in as favorites also. So it wasn't like you came out of nowhere, because your Omaha win was a dominant win, but I think you look much better at Rising, yeah?
Yes, and that was the goal.
Yeah.
Omaha was just to get qualified for the Olympia, but it was also to be kind of like a kickoff to my conditioning for the season.
It's your coach, is it John Simmons?
Yes, IFBB Pro, John Simmons.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your relationship with him. When did you start working, training? When did he start training you?
So John, it's a funny story. John and I have known each other since I was 24. So I've known John for about 13 years.
Oh, wow. And
he told me long ago, you really got a lot of potential and you just don't see it yet. But I was just my heart wasn't in it. I mean, I wanted to train, I wanted to exercise, I wanted to look good. So I would kind of contact John, very sporadically. If I was getting ready for, a local show, I would call him to help me, train my legs. But I just never really had my mind made up to dive into it. So I did figure. I came in pretty good during those shows, but my legs were always still so, I was the Quadzilla on stage.
Yeah.
And then I took an 8-year break, finished school. And after college, I said, you know what? Women's physique came along. I said, okay, I'm definitely too big for figure, but maybe we can give this women's physique a try. I did John's show and I came in 4th.
Okay.
And, I wasn't, dismayed, but then I said, okay, well, let me, take a season, get ready. So I took 2017 off and I sat John down and I said, you know what? I think that this time I need to go in for the pro card. I feel like I've got enough conditioning on me now. I've been very consistent with exercise, and it's absolutely what I know I love to do. And he said, okay, well, 2018, then that's the goal. And so I did 5 shows in 2018 and 2 national shows, missed my pro card by 1 placing at the North Americans, and then came back during nationals and got it. So women's physique was definitely good to me, but I still was very restrained. John and I had a chat after Toronto Pro, which I thought, for my pro debut, I brought a pretty good package, but I still was just too dense. I still felt like, okay, I was the big girl backstage.
Yeah.
And Irene Anderson is like, no, girl, you are a bodybuilder. And, she was right. As soon as I got off stage, Linda and Alina were waiting in the wings for me. And they chatted with me and they were like, you know what? Time for you to make the move. And so I called John and I said, well, I talked to Linda because Linda and John know each other. They used to be training partners way back in the day. But I said, I think that it's time to make the move. And he asked me, was I sure? Because he never pushes me to make a decision about, that kind of move. But he definitely said, okay, this is what you want to do. Then I support you, and I got to get to the drawing board.
One question. Were you worried, as we know, we're not going to go into detail of everything, but sometimes moving up in weight classes, there's some sacrifices that you have to do. Were you worried about that? Is that something you girls think about? Like, you know what I mean? There's some extra things that needs to be going down when you do that class. Is that something you have to think about, or?
Absolutely. I would say it was more of something I had to consider once I decided to get my pro card, because then I had to be fully committed, right? I had to be fully committed to everything, not only the fact that if you miss it the first time you do a national show, you got to be ready to dig in and keep going. John, back in his day, they were competing. There was only one winner.
Yeah.
And there were no class winners who earned pro cards. Like, you won the overall to go pro. So it was just something that he definitely walked me through conversationally, and then it helped to solidify my decision to fully commit to he's the coach, and whatever he tells me to do when it comes to getting me ready, then that's what we're gonna do.
So have you, after you won Rising, what's the feedback been from fans, from friends, from other competitors? What's the, because it was, I have to say, Andrea, it was really close. It was, I cannot, it could, it's hard to, I wasn't there, so it's hard to say, but it was real close. You would agree? And,
oh yeah. And the girls, they brought some serious,
yep.
Oh man. Wow. When I got a good look at Alicia, and I said, oh girl. She was, because, again, I keep in touch with these girls. It's not something that, everybody does. I look at it from the standpoint of, what are things going to be like relationally long after we're done competing? Some people don't think about it that way, but if you really love the sport, you really should think about it that way. So, it's a competition. Yes, we want to win. We want to do our best. But, I still keep in touch with these girls, and we talk pretty often. But yeah, these girls, they really had a certain level of excitement. There was a certain level of drive when we got on stage. It was magnetic. It was amazing. But the feedback's been great. A lot of the fans, huge congrats. A lot of the girls, especially since many of them I competed with last year, they're like, girl, good job. You definitely proved that you wanted it. And the feedback from, even judges, keep going. Keep going.
Because what I saw, that was a little bit, when I watched it over, and then I see it, but the thing that I found a little bit strange is that they didn't compare. Why did they compare you and Monique, and then they compared Helle and Alicia, and then all of a sudden they compared Helle and Nikki? I've never seen this in a bodybuilding event before.
It was that. The range of different looks was so broad across the spectrum. Some girls brought a little more size. Some girls brought, the conditioning. Some girls brought more balance and symmetry. So it was very, very hard for those judges. And honestly, they brought us out on the line, and then they brought us back out, and it was only 4 of us the second time they brought us out after the second call out. And it was kind of like, okay, they are really, really trying to make certain notes about who is really going to, go home with this prize today.
Yeah.
And it was a little nerve wracking, because, when I got back to the room, and I'm looking at John, and he's like, you okay? And I'm kind of like, I'm just quiet, because
I texted you gotta fight. I said you gotta fight after, because
oh my god,
I had you, Helle and Monique, very similar. Monique, it's my, but anyway, but I couldn't understand the prejudging, so I didn't know. You know what I mean?
We didn't either.
No, and I watched thousands of shows, so I didn't. But all in all, a fantastic win, Andrea. I've gotten so it's great to see that the women's bodybuilding scene now, that people are talking. she should have. She should. Oh, great. She's bigger. She's small. That it's not only. Let's not be. But I came into the women's bodybuilding scene like hardcore like 3 years ago. I always watched it, but 3 years ago when I started working as a journalist, I was really like. Because I went to Romania and I saw some live bodybuilding. I saw Monique there live, and it got me inspired.
Yes.
But I really hope what can we say? What should I call them? But the guys who only say, "I want to marry you, and blah blah blah." No, I want to see some bodybuilding discussions. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I want women's bodybuilding. You know, you want people to discuss and not
Absolutely.
only this other things. You know what I mean? It's and I've seen it's been a real. Have you felt there's a change this year? I think it's more.
Oh, huge shift. And I mean that the atmosphere has been set. I mean, there is a certain excitement that Friday when we get on stage, there are going to be people who are watching and waiting with great anticipation to see how well we do. Even the pay-per-view. I mean, they did pretty well, Wings. For the Rising Phoenix show. So you can imagine the Olympia is going to be that much more lucrative for them. So, I mean, we appreciate that. We really, because we work hard. And many of these girls, Hele, Monique, Alicia, these girls have been competing, Nikki Chartrand, for a long time in bodybuilding. So, I hope that, it continues to strengthen us as we, continue to be ambassadors of the sport, because we are going to be shouldering, for the next, hopefully few years, what direction we're going in. So we have a responsibility to do well.
So guys, we talked about rising here with you. If you want to see more of your Olympia thoughts, you got to go head over to Muscular Development. That's going to be out later because this is going to be out first. Ms Olympia, we have Andrea. Favorite going in on paper here, huh? We got Helle Trevino who is, I don't know if she's pissed off or if she is, I don't know, because I'm going to talk to her later. I'll find out.
She's not pissed off. That's my girl. You remember she and I did a kind of impromptu interview last year.
Yeah.
So she definitely, she and I, we had an exchange of words after the show.
Oh, and, you did?
She's excited just as I am to be stepping back on stage at this, all-time event of female bodybuilding coming back.
And I can only imagine Margie, who hasn't competed this year.
Margie and I were talking. She's ready.
She's ready. Is ready. Wow. Well, anyway, guys, Olympia time. Andrea Shaw, is there anyone you want to thank? Where can people follow you?
My Instagram handle is Ms Pretty Muscle, MZ Pretty Muscle, kind of my calling card. I definitely want to give a huge thank you to my coach and the Wings of Strength team. Jake Wood, Alina, Alex, all the girls over there for taking excellent care of us. Linda for being our ambassador at every single show. She's always, because even though Jake and Alina were in Romania, I know Linda was handling a lot of things while they were gone in Romania. So, the things that they do behind the scenes should not be taken for granted. They give a lot for us. And I just definitely want to say a huge thank you and that I love you guys. Thank you to the Olympia team, Tim Gardner, his team. You guys lay out always the absolute best experience for competitors. So, huge thank you. And thank you to all of the fans. Thank you, AJ, for supporting, because, again, this is definitely something that I take very close to heart. I've put my heart, I put my soul into my training, into my dieting, and to be able to have, fans support, it means everything.
Also, I just want to give a quick shout out to JB. He's not here. You know JB?
Yes.
The half team of female bodybuilding. Just want to say, even though I'm in front of the camera, he's doing so much.
Yes.
JB Filmworks. He's been. He's a passionate female bodybuilding supporter since I think 1990. Since before you and me were born.
Yeah, and that's where he trumps you on that one, AJ. He's got the edge on you.
Okay, thank you, Andrea, and we can't wait to the O.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.